Hey everybody, what's up? It's Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. What's up? Now this won't have my traditional opening and the usual effects, but I'll just say this, you could like, comment, subscribe, and share, you know what I mean? Now this video is about, I've been talking to my homie C.1 about this a lot of times. Now, this video is about why social media is ending. Now, why social media is ending. And a lot of people, a lot of red pill channels, Manosphere, a lot of news channels aren't even covering this. You see Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, a lot of these sites, and now let me just focus on the American angle. A lot of these sites in America are in danger because we have the decline in the population. You have to understand that all the social media sites, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they run on the population. As in, if the population starts dipping, they start losing users. Now that the U.S. population is in a major decline, less children are being born. That means in 10 to 20 years, let's say, right now I'm about in my 30s, early 30s or whatever. Now, there's not a replacement for me coming. That's why when a lot of people talk about the whole, they're trying to shrink the population and so on. Maybe the older population, they kind of want that out of the way. I'll make another video on that, but the fact that less people are being born means less future users for all the social media sites. They depend on a steady growth of the population. You know what I'm saying? The population is their user base. The more people are born, the more users they get. Now, focus strictly on the U.S. The U.S. has had a huge, lack of populational growth. And now, a lot of these sites, and I spoke to C.1 about this, is that what all the social media sites have to do, and they need to act soon, is that in the next, I'd say about 20 years, because, as I've predicted, and I had a video called Generation Z and Beyond, the motherless generation, is that a lot of the Generation Z and so on won't be having kids. You know what I'm saying? They won't be having kids. Yeah, a lot of the Generation Z and beyond won't be having children. It's because of the laws and so on. Because what's happened now is we have a large synchronization between men of many generations, where men are, synchronizing. It's not something that's happened in history. A lot of men are synchronizing, letting other men know about the laws. And what YouTube and all the social media sites are in danger of if they neglect this is that what happens when the social media sites are getting better. Like Facebook lets you sell now, though I have my problems with Facebook. I'll speak about that on another video. What happens when YouTube and all the social media sites can't grow anymore because the population is in decline? Now, in 50 years from now, if it continues, and I say it will only increase, I say the population will decrease year in, year out, especially because of what's happened with COVID-19, which has actually put more men away from interacting with women and more women away from interacting with men. unless it's, tender, get that little, that call, whatever. But it's broken down a lot of social activities, no sports. They've cut down all the arenas and so on. Now, what Facebook and all the social media sites are in danger of, and I spoke to C.1 a while about this, is that if the population continues to decline, their user base will continue to decline. Now, I'm just focusing on the US. I'm not focusing on the other countries and so on. If the population keeps declining, their user pool keeps declining. They don't have enough new people being born to replace their previous users that, that, for example, let's say you're 20 now and a child, people aren't having as many kids. So who's gonna replace your age demographic? So what YouTube and Facebook have to do, and they're gonna have to decide, this is gonna be the very fate of their company. Same rule affects Amazon and so on, because the less populational replacement you have, the less in actuality you have to appeal upwards. Our population is getting older, not younger. We don't have new blood, so we can't appeal to the younger generation. We have to make more, prequels and remakes and all that. But let me get to the point at hand. What Facebook, Twitter, Instagrams under Facebook, with all the social media sites, YouTube, because YouTube depends on people making videos and people watching videos. And with the population decrease, that's going to decrease. What YouTube and Facebook and all these social media sites and Twitter have to decide is, will they step in? Will they step in to actually demand and lobby to alter the state of the, to alter the state of the court system when it comes to the relationship between man and woman? Because if all the social media sites don't step in to actually equalize the playing field, you know what I'm saying? If YouTube and all of them, and to me, this is their chance to kind of say, we believe in family values and so on. They could step in and start lobbying for change in a reform in the marriage laws. You know what I'm saying? Child support and so on. Because if they don't, let's be honest here. Facebook, YouTube, all these social media sites are not necessities. They're not utilities. They're not your phone. You know what I'm saying? They're not the phone line. They're not water. They're basically sites you choose to, amongst with a group of friends, to go there and communicate. What's gonna happen if Facebook and all these social media sites don't step in and actually start lobbying to change the marital laws, to change the child support laws and so on? They're gonna keep losing their users. They're not gonna have a replacement set up since less people are being born. You know what I mean? They're gonna basically die out from the lack of replacements in the population, because all the social media sites literally run on having people use them. It's not the other way around. So what happens when you have a smaller pool of people to use? Like, for example, Facebook has been, user rate has been declining. Instagram rate has been declining. A lot of these sites are declining. A lot of people think, well, less people are using social media. You know what I mean? In an essence, that's true. But another thing is, where does the population decline play a role in that? I say put it at 5 years. Every 5 years, it's going to continue to decline. And what Facebook and all these social media sites have to decide is whether they're going to get up and actually fight to alter and fix the relationship between man and woman. Because without men and women, having children, they're losing out on a younger demographic. What happens, let's fast forward to 20 years from now. Let's say the population has declined by, let's say 15 to 25%. Less people are being born 20 years from now. That means Facebook and all of them have to appeal to an older pool of people that actually have less time to use social media to begin with. And then they have to, they have to plan for actually not growth in the long term, but actually decline. Because as the population declines, they get less users of their sites. So instead of planning for growth, they're going to have to plan for, we're going to keep declining year over year, decade over decade, because the population is in decline. It's in free fall. We don't have enough people being born to replace our younger users and create a new young demographic. So Facebook and all these big social media sites, and I'd say in the next, you know, especially in my honest opinion, COVID-19, C-19 has actually pushed up the population decline. I'd say by a good 5 to 10 years because of the lack, because it's made people afraid to interact with each other. I'm not, it's actually pushed people away for, I don't remember when lockdown started. I think it was March or February. You know what I mean? And we're still in certain states where they're not allowing you to open stores and have full capacity. And I think it's gonna be like that for the most part in certain, especially in very liberal states like New York and New Jersey, where they're using this as a way to further increase the poverty and dependency on the government. But that's for another video. But what's gonna happen, and because of COVID-19, because of C-19, the population's gonna decrease even faster. Because all the setup is telling people, do not socialize with each other, stay 6 feet away from each other. And let's say you're a man now, before C-19, you'd be called a creep if you try to holler at a chick or whatever. Now, because of the C-19 rules, you could be called, you were trying to give her, I forget what they call it when you're trying to use, a bioweapon. Because you're trying to get too close to her and you could get her sick and so on. It's created, in all honesty, C-19 has further pushed the lack of, people coming together and the lack of coupling. It's pushed that up by, in my honest opinion, I'd say by over 20%, by probably over 40, because it's actually made it illegal for a group of people to gather together, plan for concerts, going to the bar at night, clubs, whatever. It's destroyed that interaction that led to populational increase. Then you have that constant push where the media and the news and all these health places are telling you, do not go into large group events. You know what I'm saying? So that's further gonna push the decline in the population. You know what I'm saying? So in all honesty, social media is a countdown. It's ending. It's ending, and I'd say, and it's only gonna keep increasing the lack of children being born and so on. So social media, man, it's on its way out. I'd say give it a good, give it another 5 to 10 years. It's only gonna keep declining with the population decrease. You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna go on Instagram and say, I'm pregnant? Who's gonna go on Instagram, I just turned 15? There's, even around my neighborhood, I notice there are less kids, You know what I'm saying? Less kids going to school. You know, businesses where they sold, child related, commodities such as, places where they sold baby strollers and all, they're going out of business. So, in all honesty, man, the social media sites, if they're quote unquote, because you have to understand, social media, their entire user base is based on the population increasing and staying at a steady rate. And now you have a birth decline, a huge birth decline. A lot of these social media sites are literally losing their future users. So all the big social media companies, your Facebooks, your Twitter, your TikToks, YouTube, Twitch, Amazon, they gotta act. They gotta act and start lobbying, because if they don't, in the next because to me, I'd say in the next 5 years, the decline's gonna be insane. The lack of people being born is probably gonna skyrocket in the next 5 to 10 years. So they have to act. They gotta act soon, because they're running out of future users. So this has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. Peace.